All right, power rankings.
Oh, here we go. I'm gonna start going. Here we go. When you guys start ripping them to shreds.
Is that Pittsburgh? Here we
No,
go.
that's Zach Prescott.
It's also the guy from Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
We'll put the video on.
You're right.
You're correct.
Kansas City
Chiefs at number 1. Minnesota Vikings at number 2. Houston Texans number 3. Detroit Lions 4. Baltimore Ravens cracking the top 5 for the first time since preseason. Washington Commanders at 6. Green Bay Packers 7. Buffalo Bills 8. How the mighty have fallen. They were number 2 just a couple weeks ago. Dallas Cowboys 9. Atlanta Falcons round out the top 10. And I'll just say Chicago Bears coming at number 11 for Kyle's sake there.
That's pretty good.
Bottom 5.
There's some crappy teams in this league.
Some usual suspects here. Miami Dolphins, Jacksonville Jaguars, Cleveland Browns, New England Patriots, and then taking up the rear, Carolina Panthers. Yet again, the Andy Dalton honeymoon short-lived.
Taking it up the rear, the Carolina Panthers.
They stay.
The fans are. Dalton having himself actually doing fine. It's the defense and the rest of the roster. That's just like their
team
terrible.
stinks.
They are objectively awful. So
Panthers?
Yeah.
Tough stuff. All right. Let's get to the Goldilocks.
Breaking news.
Who's too high?
Panthers stink.
Who's too low? And who is just right? Kyle, kick us off.
So for me, too high, Pittsburgh Steelers. After the last 2 showings, particularly the performance of the quarterback position, I have some doubts about what their ceiling is. They played out of their mind on the defensive side of the football for the first few weeks, and Justin Fields did enough for this team to stay in games. He didn't lose them football games, but he's going to have to do more because this Pittsburgh Steelers defense is starting to look a little bit more human, I would say. So the Steelers are a little bit too high. The defense is supposed to give them a chance in every game, but what gives?
Okay, but they're 15.
They're 15.
Well, put them down a little bit.
But behind who, though?
This is the too high segment. This is the too high segment.
The Broncos, the Jets. I feel like the Broncos and the Jets and the Steelers are all kind of the same.
They went to Denver.
But I feel like right now, this team is struggling. And you can see in the body language of some of their star players. We were just talking about George Pickens. You talked about the routes, and then I see the Twitter cut-ups.
Jogs, you mean?
I do think that's
They were still routes. They were slow, but they were routes. They were the Saturday walkthrough speed routes, and some were slower than that. But when your most talented players are performing like that, it's indicative of a real issue. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm not here to question Mike Tomlin's leadership, but I will say that there's an issue somewhere in that building.
Well, the issue.
Well, I mean, Pickens is the
issue. Is him.
It's been the same story. It's been the same story year in, year out with this guy.
But what is it? What is he saying?
So what is the issue?
What is he? He doesn't like the quarterback.
See, speak up. Let's speak up a little bit.
Yeah, well, you know how players are.
Your actions speak louder than words.
I think anybody who
saw your actions.
And his, by the way, his snaps were cut.
Yes,
I would have cut his
to try to get more production.
You know what I would have done? I would have cut his snaps completely. He would have sat on his.
I think after you don't run her out in a play,
you're done.
You are out. Yeah,
you're not playing. You're not playing anymore.
So it's too high Steelers.
But that being the thing, that's a very good chance, I think, at this point, given Pickens' behavior and just who he is. The guy's out of his mind bonkers. That's why he fell to the second round, and why he barely got on the field at Georgia himself in the first place. So, yeah, I think that's the case. But it's also, he was your passing offense. You don't have other guys there that can replace what he does. He is that good, and there is no one else. Now, maybe they trade for Devontae. Who knows what happens with him at this point. But if he's out, I agree they are worse than the 15th team because they're not moving the ball on the offensive side of the ball.
So now I'll go too high.
My too high. This is going to be a reverse jinx hedge type of play, but the Green Bay Packers at 7 are too high right now. I don't think they're
I see your play here.
Anything good on either side of the ball right now. Now, I think the offensive line, the running game, I could trust that to show up week in and week out. But Jordan Love, I don't know if it's the knee, because this was kind of happening week 1 against the Steelers, but he's just erratic as can be right now. Not stepping into throws, and I guess that's kind of his MO, but he's leaving those downfield balls way short. Missed 2 big opportunities this past week, and the one that he did connect on could have been picked.
He shouldn't even thrown it.
Yeah, that one should have been.
If you grade that on the
talking about the Will Levis throw,
the one into 3 guys on the sideline,
not in the end zone. Not that one.
No, that one shouldn't have been thrown. Wait, who called it? Kurt Benker called it like a great play or something. I didn't even actually read the video. But the
bottom line is they blocked it the wrong way, and it was he should have taken the safety. Is what he should have taken. But and the tight end Kraft kind of quit on that play too.
Yes,
he watched.
He didn't think he was going to throw it. He's like, okay, this guy's.
Yeah, but the defensive back saw him throwing it.
He's dead.
Yeah.
So I do just think, though, and then on the opposite side of the ball, is they can't rush the passer right now. Rashawn Gary's been like a no-show.
Yeah, I don't know. And people are critical of his. if you watch him, there's actually stuff people are criticizing him for the way he's rushing the passer, smack dab into the middle of it. He's not using any technique.
We call that running to darkness.
Yeah.
And offensive linemen, we love when guys just run down. There's a reason I'm 330 pounds. Like, if you want to just sprint in between my tits, be my guest, because I am going to make so much money in this league if that's your plan. Now, if you want to attack edges, I'm going to be out the door quick, and you're probably going to be making double what I should have been making if you were rushing the darkness.
So I just think the Packers right now, they beat the Rams.
Where would you put them, though? Who should be ahead of them?
Bills, Cowboys, I'm putting ahead of them.
The Cowboys are a whisker away from being 2-1.
Dak Prescott's alive. CeeDee Lamb is alive.
Yeah.
So be careful.
But the defense isn't alive.
I just think, and also if they ran into the 49ers right now, I think that line's like 4+ 49ers. I just don't think they are playing the football we expected from
we're talking about by the way, we're talking about the 49ers and I don't know if any of you guys have them for being too low or whatever, but we're talking about the 49ers like they're the same 49ers team.
No, they're not. No, I definitely are. They're not. I'm not putting them, but I'm just saying I don't like the way they would match up.
It's not Brock Purdy's fault.
No, it's not.
All right, who's too low?
Too low. Okay. Put some respect on arguably the best quarterback in the league, Pete. I'm not saying he is the best quarterback. It's arguably the best quarterback in the league. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're too low at 24, okay? I think that they could beat a large number of the 23 teams that you have ranked ahead of them. I am not scared away by the record with this team. I know that they keep losing the game. I know that they're inventing new ways to lose football games. But the 1-4 Cincinnati Bengals, to have them at number 24 after seeing the things that they can get done offensively, and I know they're really bad at defense, but watching their offense and Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase operate, man, they would scare the hell out of me if I were to, invest in them finishing as the 24th team in the league. I know it's a right now list, and we do it every week, but you can't sit here and tell me that. I think Orlando Brown Jr., the left tackle, is playing the best he's ever played. He looks to be taking his health really seriously. His weight looks down. He's strong. Mims is coming along at the tackle position. This offense will get better and better as the season goes on. I have real doubts about their defense, but 24, that's just disrespectful.
Well, no, this week they play the 23rd team, so maybe they have an opportunity to move up.
Disrespectful.
Have an opportunity to move up. They can't stop anybody.
But man, you have to appreciate greatness when you're watching.
The offense is so fun and so great, and he's back to being Joe Burrow, but you can't stop anybody.
It's going to start to pick that defense up, I think. Seeing that they are pretty damn close. And I mean, after this last week's game against the Ravens,
well, now you got the Higgins situation now about him griping about.
Look, if you ain't bitching, you ain't playing. You're
not a wide receiver.
Yeah, so it looks like everything's okay in Cincinnati.
Burrow over the last 4 games, averaging over 300 yards,
Come on.
3 touchdowns per game. Yeah, I mean their offense. I'm not sure how many other offenses I take over them right now in the NFL.
It's crazy.
Well, offensively, they're great, but they can't stop anybody.
It's unbelievable how bad their defense has been.
And why though? The defensive tackles has something to do with it, but it's more than that.
Yeah, I mean the defensive line. It is Trey Hendrickson or nobody. There's just no one else winning one-on-ones. The secondary play has been really weird.
Bad.
Or like just they're running a lot of zone and just like the assignments have been horrendous. I don't know. So hard to defend that defense. All right, a defense that's easy to defend though, who I think is too low. New York Giants, man. Put some respect after they go to Seattle, upset win, ranked 23rd. I think people still see them. Like people saw them get blown out week 1. And everyone's like, okay, they stink. Lo and behold, the team that got blown out by Minnesota Vikings might just be one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL. And since then, they went wire to wire with the Commanders. Should have won that game had their kicker not gotten hurt in that one. Wire to wire with the Cowboys, and then obviously beat the Seahawks, beat the Browns. I don't think they're that bad, honestly. I think this team compares well with teams like the Broncos that are ahead of them, teams like the Jets.
They're a tough team.
Teams like the Steelers. They're to me, are right in that mix of teams. So
he's done a nice job. He's done a nice job. Daniel Jones is actually playing pretty good football.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones looks like an NFL quarterback. Did you see how happy he was on the block? Like to see Daniel Jones smile on a sideline shot when they go the Hitchcock shot on him, and he's over there happy. It makes me happy.
But having said all that, the Seahawks defense has been bad and they're hurt.
Yeah,
I mean,
Seahawks yeah, and I can say but it was still they kind of controlled that game.
Yeah,
like they were the better side in that game. And they didn't even have Malik Neighbors. They didn't even have their best player offensively. So when he's back, I think this offense can actually move the football because this isn't the offensive line we've become accustomed to with Daniel Jones. Like, this offensive line is actually solid.
If they don't move it this week against the Bengals, then
exactly. There we go.
There's a red flag.
The Burrow,
we'll get
Daniel
a lot
Jones shootout.
Well,
Is that going to happen?
You like the over
fun.
tomorrow when we make the picks.
All right, who's ranked just right?
Just right. Arizona Cardinals. They're just right. They're just sneaking along through this thing, and they're getting a little bit better. They've been blown out. They've also blown teams out. They've played some teams tough. It's hard to argue that Kyler Murray is not hitting his stride as an NFL quarterback. Last week, the numbers weren't gaudy passing-wise, but there's so many different things he can do. The way you have to prepare for this Cardinals team from a defensive side, it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot on the plate of these coordinators with Kyler Murray. He's healthy. He is the fastest, most athletic guy on the field at all times. And really, that's the X factor. I think you've got them right where they need to be. They can make, they're at that decision time in the season where you can see we can be a team that can make a run and get into the dance and beating somebody maybe at the dance, or we can be a team that gets blown out. So I think just right. It remains to be seen with the Cardinals, but I like where they're at.
I think the fact that they responded the way they did is telling about that staff too. I mean, they got blown out the week before by Washington. They were terrible on defense. And then they go to San Francisco. They're down in that game, and they find a way to come back and win it. That tells you a lot about the way. I thought they'd be a feisty, tough team, which is why all year long, not win a ton of games, but be a feisty team in every game. And the fact that they got blown out by Washington was kind of surprising to me. But the fact they responded is really telling about their coaching staff.
My team, and I agree with Arizona Cardinals and the coaching staff there. I just think they are still so far behind the 8 ball from a talent perspective.
Yes,
so many
particularly on defense.
Unfortunately, my team that I think is perfect, just right, the Goldilocks team, Baltimore Ravens, number 5. And truthfully, I more just wanted to give you a hat tip too. I think your top 5 is exactly the way I would rank the top 5 right now, which is Chiefs, Vikings, Texans, Lions, Ravens. My heart wants to put the Commanders there. I love what they've done offensively, but then you just see who they've played, see what they've done, and it's like, okay, they get their chance this week to prove it. The Baltimore Ravens this week, I believe it's in Baltimore.
It is in Baltimore.
That's like, you do that, we'll put you there. But I just think with who they've beaten so far, Giants, Bengals, Cardinals, Browns, none of those teams are playoff teams. None of those are even sniffing the playoffs right now. So this is their test. You want to do it? Do it against the Baltimore Ravens.
And then they get Carolina, and it gets, then the schedule gets soft again. I don't think they have to get on a plane, but maybe one time the rest of the season too. Think about that.
That helps.
Or twice.
That's wild. We need
because they play the Eagles.
Yeah, the East is all
drive, and then they're
all trains.
Yeah, they got nothing.
I forget that those guys take trains to games.
Yeah,
that's like fascinating to me. We used to take the bus to Green Bay. That pissed me off. I'd be like, let's just fly. It's 30-minute flight.
Right.
But still, it's 4 hours on a freaking bus to Appleton, Wisconsin.
Yeah, terrible.
Oh, I love that.
The Paper Valley Sheridan. Shout out to the Paper Valley Sheridan.
I think Paper Valley Sheridan used to have
I spent a summer in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, covering the Jaguars. Did you know they trained there?
They trained Stevens Point? I did
1995.
Wow.